Welcome back to CC with Moxie. I'm E, North Georgia homeschool mom of 6 kiddos. And this over here is the guy that had the guts to marry the girl with way too much moxie. Introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Trost. Lucky to be on this adventure with Miss E during the Classical Conversations journey.
I'm so excited. He is my very first guest. You're my first guest, honey.
Awesome.
Nobody else comes before
Thank you.
We thought it would be fun to just share our little quick homeschool story of how we decided to start homeschooling, because like so many other people, I wasn't homeschooled as a kid. Were you?
I mean, I was public school in New York. She was private school in Jacksonville, Florida. So 2 sides of the track.
Yes. How was your experience in public school?
Interesting, I mean, let's see, bullying took place, and I was a latchkey kid, right? Because single income family, so had to be at school. But it was, it made me into the person I am today, I guess.
Good, bad, into whatever.
That's right.
But for everybody out there, we're not bashing any other type of education. We're just going to share our stories. So we came from backgrounds where he didn't necessarily love his public school background. I came from a private school background. And my mom was a teacher. She taught elementary music education. My sister-in-law, shout out to Amy, she is a teacher. And when we met, the bulk of our friends that we went to church with in Jacksonville were all teachers. And so homeschooling wasn't on our radar.
No, and it's funny that you mentioned about church friends, because we hadn't been believers for a long time.
No.
August 2010 is actually when we got saved. So, you think about how old our 2 oldest were at that time. Emma was 2 and Peyton was like 6 months.
Peyton, okay, so we got baptized in the ocean because we lived in Florida. And a little Peyton, who's now 14, she had this little diaper on and she ate the sand the entire time while people watched her while we were getting baptized in the ocean. That was fun.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, it just fell in that we were surrounded by a lot of people that were teachers.
Yes. And so how this kind of all came about is we were saved, obviously, and we're going to church with a bunch of people. And a lot of women that I connected with there had started homeschooling. And it still was not on our radar because I was very much going, we don't have the patience for this. There is no way. In fact,
plus, I mean, the stereotypes, right? Like you're gonna have the weird kid.
Oh, the kid that's not socialized.
No, because they stay home all the time, right? Because
homeschool
meant staying home and being in school, right?
That's what it used to mean, right?
Yes.
But all of us homeschool families now know, could that be further from the truth?
Correct.
No, our children will look you in the eye and talk to adults very well and talk to all sorts of age kids, and they have no problem with socializing. But back in the day, that's what we thought.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I was pregnant with one of our kids, we were at...
Charlie, probably, I think, or Hayden.
I don't know. We were at a wedding for one of your friends in New York. And one of them asked us, okay, now that you're all up into Jesus, are you going to turn into those crazy homeschoolers? And we were like, no, absolutely not. And in fact, that night, I think I might have made fun of homeschoolers, to be honest.
Probably. And I mean, New Yorkers, they're going to be brutally honest and truthful with you. So we were expecting, we're like, no, we would never do that, because I would never hear the end of it from my fraternity brothers, right? So.
And then God laughed.
Yes.
So that was in November, y'all. And a few months later, in February of that year, it was time to sign Emma up for school in Florida. And I remember being so excited to sign her up. And I look back on those comments and those thoughts, and I thought, that wasn't very kind, right? But I had 4 kids, 4 and under, and the ship was sinking a little bit. Remember, at the time, you were traveling 3 weeks out of the month.
Yes. Yep.
So I didn't have a lot of help at home. And in fact, all of our small group at the time saw that the ship was kind of sinking, and they started stepping in and sending meals and things. And so I was very excited to sign our oldest up for school and have one of them out of the house for most of the day. So I only had to wrangle 3 kids, 3 and under.
2 that were still in diapers at the time.
I look back now that we're 40s and about to be 50, and I don't know how we did all that, but we did. But just a couple months after that wedding where we were making fun of homeschoolers, February comes around, I drive to, I can't remember where you're supposed to drive in Jacksonville to sign your kids up for school. But I drove there and I literally, I don't know, God came over me. I couldn't get out of the car. Do you remember this?
Yes.
I could not get out of the car. And I always had my Bible with me at the time because this was before I had, YouVersion or anything on a phone. And I pulled out my Bible and a verse really struck me. And I went, no, God, that's not funny. No. And I called you on the phone.
Yeah, and you were looking for me to kind of talk you out of it and talk you off the ledge.
Yes, I wanted him to go, there's no way you can homeschool our children. It's a non-starter. Go in and sign our kid up for school.
Because you were probably thinking about back at the wedding, and then plus with me just being kind of a proponent for public school system, right? Wanting to do that. And I was like, no, I think it's a great idea. And the reason was twofold. One is just seeing the patience that you had with our girls at home, but then also, my stigma, I guess, of them not being social. You had been able to jump into a play group in Jacksonville, right? Because I remember coming home when we just had Emma, and you're like, how was your day? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And you'd always want to talk, and I was trying to decompress from work because I talk to people all day long. And you're like, all I hear is goo goo gaga all day. And all of a sudden you got plugged into the play group, and a couple of those people were the main ones responsible for us becoming believers.
Yes.
Going to church.
Shout out
but
to
then
Robin.
also, being able to see kind of homeschooling as a whole. And I just felt you truly, you were a stay-at-home mom at the time, but you truly, ever since I met you, have had the gifting of kind of being a teacher, kind of being able to do stuff like that. So I thought it was a great idea.
I'm so thankful for him, y'all, because I literally wanted to tell God, you've lost your mind. I wanted him to give me an out, and I just wanted to drop my 4-year-old off to get signed up for school because I felt like I was drowning. But God had other plans. And now looking back, 12-ish years later, 11, something like that.
Great decision, right? It's funny because when we first said that we were going to do that, I remember calling my mom because she still lived up in New York, and she's like, "You're doing what? Homeschool? Are you kidding me?" And I want to say probably 6 months later, she came down to visit us, and we were at her favorite restaurant, Chili's. And Emma was 5 at the time, and she was reading a book to my mom, and my mom afterwards said, you know what, you guys made the right decision, right? Yeah. Which was a win in our book.
Yes.
Because being able to win her over, but it truly is a blessing. You think about my first introduction to public speaking was my freshman year of college. CC students from kindergarten, they're doing presentations.
Yeah. At 4 years old, even
it's show and tell, but you're still getting up in front of a group of classmates and saying something, right? And then as you progress, obviously, it becomes more. So equipping our youth with that kind of skill is going to pay dividends, not only in college, but real world situations, right at work. Being able to present in front of coworkers or clients or customers or whatever, right? Not having that fear of getting up and standing up and being able to talk to people. So it's been so many different things that have been amazing with it, right? And also the relationships, not only for the kids, but then you as moms, right? And then even us, we sometimes get overlooked, but dads, there are ways for us to hang out too, right? Like dad's nights and stuff like that, or just being active and going to see your kids.
That is true. So this extrovert over here was wanting to get more involved in the homeschool world, which I love. And he wanted to know the other dads and who we were hanging out with. And so years ago at one of the CCs we were at, he started Dad's Night, and so the dads would get together a few times a year, but then some of them knitted close relationships from that and started hanging out on the side and just having that encouragement for when your wife is having a bad day, or you're going through a season maybe of a little struggle, to have somebody else. Oftentimes they're not at all of the things because somebody's got to pay the bills, right? And so that was a way you could weave yourself in. He's also, don't you love going to CC days?
Yes.
He still comes. Any birthday or any special occasion, he spends all day. He doesn't care if he's one of 30 men there or if he's the only dad there. And he loves being in Essentials when we'll often say, Mamas.
Yeah. And then I have to raise my hand. I'm like, and Dad? Dad's here too.
There we go. But thank you for letting us share our story of how we even came to homeschooling. I'm very thankful for this guy for believing that I could do it and allowing the Lord to kind of lead our family in that. And as you're homeschooling throughout the rest of this year, don't forget to CC with Moxie.
Take care.